I think we are always a scapegoat for whatever Eritrea does. And whenever one foreign diplomat talks about, especially the American diplomats talk about certain things, Eritrea associates that it is Ethiopia who lobbied these guys. And of course, you have seen the position of the Ethiopian government. We equivocally denounce that it is wrong.
Oh my God, come on. You can do it, say unequivocally. It is the opposite of what you are saying, Mr. Desalegn. Unequivocally.
What ambassadors David Sheehan and Cohen has written regarding Eritrea, to bring Eritrea from the cold into the warm place in the international community, was equivocally wrong.
Wow, you have doubled the mistakes. Is it not correct to say what Ambassadors Cohen and David Sheehan has written? There is what is called verb agreement. When you have a plural subject, you use have instead of have. He has written becomes they have written. Again, equivocally wrong, absolutely wrong. Try again, Mr. Prime Minister.
Because Eritrea has not changed its policies. As far as the Sudanese question is concerned, I think we have to understand the historic background of this issue. The border issue between Sudan and Ethiopia has no confusion or anything that has, brings any kind of doubt. Because the agreement has been signed between the government of Sudan and the government of Ethiopia, not now, but by the time of Emperor Menelik.
Here we go again. Sir, you have made a serious factual error. Emperor Menelik never signed a border agreement with Sudan. Show us the document. We are smarter, Mr. Desalegn. Okay, go on.
And by that time, the government of Sudan was under the British protectorate.
Wrong again. A proctor is someone supervising students in college. Proctorate, am I not sure about that? I'm not sure about that. It doesn't seem to exist in the English dictionaries. I think you wanted to say protectorate, a country under protection or control of another one. Yes, Sudan was under British protectorate. Sir, you should be 100% sure about what you want to say. After all, you're supposed to be the leader of Ethiopia.
So that agreement has been evaluated next to it by Emperor Haile Selassie and its regime. And again, Emperor Haile Selassie equivocally agreed that this agreement has to be binding.
Seriously, this is a puppet show. Sir, equivocal is the opposite of unequivocal. You must be sure before you sign an agreement. And again, you have also made a factual error. It is a total fabrication to say Haile Selassie signed a border agreement with Sudan to give away land.
Similarly, during the Derg regime, the Derg also has tried to study by sending professors from university and other professionals, and the Derg regime also equivocally, endorsed it.
Unbelievable. This is absolutely wrong, sir. If you don't listen, it seems hard to teach you.
This agreement is binding. So there is no other agreement that the EPRDF government has to bring into force. So I think that agreement is a binding agreement, and the only thing is implementing that border agreement. That has been already delimited and demarcated. The only thing is putting posters on the ground. What happened now is the Sudanese government was even generous enough during the 1996 Ethiopian calendar, there has been small clashes between Sudan and Ethiopia because of the reason the attempt to kill the Egyptian leader Hosni Mubarak in Addis Ababa. During that clashes, farmers and investors from the Sudanese side has left certain part of their land, and Ethiopian investors and farmers has occupied that land.
Remember, your first grade English lessons, you don't say farmers and investors has left certain parts. It should be have been, have left, and have occupied. What is wrong with you?
The Sudanese government was generous enough by saying that until we demarcate this border, let them be there. I don't want to, evacuate them from that occupation, of the land that they are plowing now. So I think we have a very good relations with Sudan, and the agreement has already been concluded during the reign of Emperor Menelik, and there is nothing that you give or you take.
Prefixes are an important part. They tell you about a word right from the start. When you see non or un, that means not, like unintelligent or the word non-stop. It's a few more for not that I'll hit you with. If you can't read, then you're illiterate.
About media freedom, your country is now being mentioned in the same breath as countries that have the highest number of journalists and opposition figures jailed. Just recently, there were what are being referred to as the Zone 9 bloggers. They have been arrested for now more than 2 months. No proper case brought against them.
Look, I suggest that you also shouldn't be connected with the terrorists.
Article. You don't use the indefinite and with a plural noun. Never say a terrorist, okay?
If you have any connection with terrorists, don't think that the Ethiopian government will let you free.
The Prime Minister seemed to be implying a threat to the BBC correspondent who was interviewing him. The Prime Minister has said that these groups are part of a terrorist network involving neighbor and rival Eritrea, and thus
So don't you think you've used a bit of a heavy hand when it comes to dealing with the opposition or with people who are critical of the government?
For us, this is a very sensitive part of the globe. We have terrorists every corner. Anyone who has connection with terrorists, if you yourself, if you have connection with Al-Shabaab, we'll arrest you.
It is altogether fitting that the entire world pays tribute and bid farewell to this iconic leader and champion of the ideals of justice and liberty. This moment is even more poignant.
Poignant.
This was a life of struggle in the face of unparalleled odds, a life of suffering in the hands of malicious perpetrators of injustice.
Perpetrator.
Let's be clear. These riots were not about race. The perpetrators and the victims were white, black, and Asian.
And a life of perseverance in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenge.
Insurmountable.
As the saying goes, a little knowledge is a dangerous thing, and a little learning is a dangerous thing too. Prime Minister, you should be smarter than the average citizen you rule. One last advice. I have one question. Can't the TPLF get a better man for the job? The whole puppet show? A crisis of leadership. Thank you for watching.
ሁለተኛውና ብዙ ሰዎችን የማያስማማው ጉዳይ የፖለቲካ እንቅስቃሴ የኢትዮጵያ ዜጎች እንቅስቃሴ ነው መሆን ያለበት የሚል መሰረታዊ መርህ ይዘን ነው የምንታገለው። አንዱ እዚህ ጋር ብዙ የሚያከራክረው 10% ከውጪ የተቀረውን 90% ከሀገር ውስጥ ነው ገንዘብ ጀነሬት የምታደርጉት የሚል ነው። ህጉ ይሄ ነው፣ ሌላ አዲስ ነገር የለውም። አይ ሀገራዊ ተቋማት በፖለቲካ ስራ መስራት ካለባቸው ለልምድ ልውውጥ የሚሆን 10% ብቻ ነው። የኛ አስተሳሰብ ገንዘብ የሰጠው ሰው ጌታ ነው። ስለዚህ የኢትዮጵያ ፖለቲካ በዜጎቿ መሰራት አለበት ብለን እናምናለን እንጂ ገንዘብ ስለሰጠ የአሜሪካ ድርጅት ኢትዮጵያ ፖለቲካ ውስጥ አቦካለው ቢል አይቻልም። ባይዘወይ እዚህ ጋር ነው የሚመጣው። እንግዲህ የአድዋው የምኑ እዚህ ጋር ይመጣና ቋቅ ይላል። አይቻልም። እኛ ኢትዮጵያውያን ፖለቲካችንን ራሳችን መስራት አለብን። ሌሎች አፍሪካ ሀገሮች ላይ እንደምትጫወቱት አይነት ጫወታ ልትጫወቱ አትችሉም። ሲያስፈልጋችሁ ሪጅም ቼንጅ። የኢትዮጵያ ህዝብ ሳይሆን ሪጅም ቼንጅ የሚያደርገው ገንዘብ ያለው ይመጣና የተወሰነ ቡድን ያደራጅና ቀለም አብዮት አደባባይ ላይ ያወጣና ቀለም አብዮት ውስጥ አጣብቀኝ የገባው መንግስት እጁን እንዲሰጥ ያደርግና መጨረሻ ላይ መንግስቱ እጅ ሰጥቷል የሚያስብለውን ሁኔታ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ አታዩትም። አባቶቻችንንም ይሄን አሳልፈው አልሰጡም፣ እኛም አንሰጥም። እኛ ድክመታችን እንደተጠበቀው ነው፣ አሳልፈን አንሰጥም። ኢትዮጵያውያን ናቸው የኢትዮጵያ ፖለቲካ መጫወት ያለባቸው። የውጪ ኃይል የሚያሽከረክረው ፖለቲካ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ አይኖርም ነው። ይሄ አይወደድም፣ በግልጽ ነው፣ አይወደድም ይሄ። ስለዚህ ቢቻላቸው ዛሬ ፈንግሎ ቢጥሉ አይጠሉም። ግን እንዴት ይፈንግሉ? ይሄን ጫወታ አብረን እንጫወታለን የሚለውን ሰው አሳለ ዝም ብለን ደግሞ አናይ። ስለዚህ 10% ነው እንጂ የምታገኘው። ይሄንን ልምድ ልትለዋወጥ ትችላለህ። 90%ውን ራስህ ሰብስብ። ለምን? የኢትዮጵያ ኦርቶዶክስ ቤተክርስቲያን በዚህ አገር ውስጥ ይሄን የመሰለ ውብ ህንጻ የሰራው በፈረንጆች ገንዘብ አይደለም። አርኪቴክቸራልም በገንዘብ መጠኑ አምኛለሁ ብሎ ያመነ ሰው ባዋጣው ነው የሰራው። ፖለቲካ ልትሰራ ከሆነ አሳምን። ልክ ሰው ለእምነቱ ቤተክርስቲያን እንደሚሰራ ሁሉ አሳምን። ገንዘብ እጥረት አይደለም ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ያለው፣ የእምነት እጥረት ነው። ገንዘብ እጥረት ቢሆን ኖሮ በየከተማው ይሄን ያክል ቤተክርስቲያን፣ ውብ የሆነ ቤተክርስቲያን፣ ውድ የሆነ ቤተክርስቲያን አይሰራም። ይሄ ህዝብ ነው ፖለቲካ እንድትራምድለት የምትፈልገው ህዝብ ይሄ ህዝብ ነው። ስለዚህ ይሄን ህዝብ ገንዘብ ስጠኝ ብትለው ይሰጣል፣ ካመነ ፖለቲካን ካመነ። ስለዚህ በፈረንጅ ገንዘብ የምትሄድበት መንገድ አይኖርም። 10% ልምድ ተለዋወጥ፣ ግድ የለም። እኛም የዶላር ችግር አለብን። 10%ን ውሰድ። ከዛ ባሻገር አትሄድም ነው። ይሄ ነው ህጉ፣ ይሄ ነው። ይሄ የብዙ ሰዎችን ጓዳ አፍርሷል። የማይጠየቅ ገንዘብ የሚመጣውን አስቀርቷል። በእኛ ፖለቲካ ውስጥ እጃቸውን አስገብቶ ለማቡካት የፈለጉ ሰዎችን እጃቸውን ቆርጧል። ስለዚህ በየሶሻል ሚዲያ ብትገቡ ይሄን ታገኛላችሁ። የኢትዮጵያ ህግ ስታይፍሊንግ ነው። የበጎ አድራጎትና ማህበራት ህግ የሚባለው አፋይ ነው፣ ሰፎኬቲንግ ነው የሚል በየቦታው ታገኛላችሁ። እኛ ግን እጅ አልሰጠንም። ያው እስከ ዛሬም ድረስ ሳፎኬቲንግ አይደለም። ሞክር ፖለቲካውን በአገር ውስጥ ገንዘብ ለመስራት ሞክር ነው ጉዳዩ። ሀገራችንን ፖለቲካ በአገራችን ማካሄድ አለብን የሚል ከተማመንን በኋላ በዚህ ፖለቲካ ውስጥ ሌሎች እጃቸውን እንዳይከቱ ለማድረግ እቺን መንገድ ብንከተል ይሻላል የሚል አማራጭ አምጡ። ይሄ አማራጭ ከመጣ ለመነጋገር ዝግጁ ነን። ነገር ግን 90% ከአሜሪካኖች ብር አምጥተህ ሎካል ኤንጂኦ ፖለቲካ ላይ የሚሰራ ኤንጂኦ ስራ የሚባል ከሆነ ይሄን አንቀበልም። የጸረ ሙስና ህግም ቢሆን
Thank you. I wanted to ask two questions. One is regarding finance. We've talked a lot about sort of having policy independence and mobilizing resources from within. To that extent, I think examples that we could cite from the Rwandan, for example, the Agaciro Fund and the Great Renaissance Dam, I don't know if it's a fund, but we're raising money for it together. On the other hand, both countries have also very recently debuted on the sovereign debt markets. And to some degree, if you're, I mean, I understand that you would have to be able to not pay the money that you, to pay the money back, but doesn't that cut on I'm sorry, I'm not articulating myself very well, but doesn't that to some degree, lessen your policy independence? And what was the rationale, why this time? I addressed this question to both President Kagame and Prime Minister Hailemariyam. What was the rationale behind joining the international bond markets? The other question I have, it's something I'd like to pick up from what the gentleman from IGAD said. I think it's something around Medlis's thinking on the developmental state that hasn't really been mentioned, which I think he was trying to mention. He, I think, asserts that development is not a process of capital accumulation, but a process of accumulating technological capabilities. To what degree is that conceptualization of development visible within in the way we craft policy in Ethiopia, and to what extent has that played a role in policy making in general, or is that something that's thought about at all? Because we've talked about a lot of other aspects, but I think it was an assertion of his that in order to become a middle-income country, we need to be able to copy technology, and in order to become a high-income country, we need to be able to innovate. And that's something that I didn't hear being discussed. So I was just wondering if that's open to all of your excellencies.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Samal. I think as far as the foreign debt is concerned, we have been getting and borrowing money from not only the international capital market, but bilateral organizations and countries like China, India. And we have been using this money for our infrastructure development, which is much more needed to see that the infrastructure deficit is accommodated. The thing is, there is no difference whether you get debt from China or from the capital market, wherever. The thing is, you have to understand that your debt sustainability ratio is in such a way that it is low risk. And if you go beyond that low risk, you are susceptible. That's where the policy rent comes. So we have to be very careful in looking into that, whether you are able to pay back the loan in such a way that you will not be susceptible to the pressure that's coming because you have failed to pay this debt. That's the most important issue, and we have checked this correctly. And I think the history shows that many developing countries use foreign savings to pursue their development in helping them for using the money that they borrow for infrastructure deficit completion. And we do also this from World Bank, ADB, and from other concessional loans. But when it comes to commercial loans, I think carefully scrutiny is necessary, as you said, not to compromise your policies around this area. When it comes to technology accumulation, you are right. I think the most important stage that you need to have technology accumulation, at the first stage, you have to have technology implementation and use capacity rather than technology innovation, as you said. So we have to build how to use already existing technology globally. And through that course, you start to learn and try to modify the technology to suit your own conditions. And as you know, we have already assigned the Metal and Engineering Corporation for this technology transfer and technology adaptation, again, technology usage, and go beyond modifications. And if possible, there are technology innovation as well. So I think it's a ladder that you have to follow in doing so. We are in the right track doing this process and helping the technological capability accumulation.
Thank you. President?
Yes. I'll be very brief. The Prime Minister has almost said everything. I'll only add our debating on bond markets is in fact compatible with our intention of wanting to be independent. And here I want to assert that markets provide more of this independence than if you went for money elsewhere. So it's an issue of the markets and how these markets serve you, and as the Prime Minister said, you go to the markets, the capital markets, knowing your limitations, and therefore you have to operate within those limitations. But as far as that is taken care of, then there is the kind of independence that we are able to attain other than other sources that may be highly politicized.